Now, aid organizations have been left scrambling for answers after US President Donald Trump's executive order to freeze aid funding for 90 days. The Trump administration has accused the United States Agency for International Development of wasting money. And it says that it needs to align with the government's policy priorities.
And as a result of those concerns, we're hearing he's planning to merge it with the US State Department. But why is Donald Trump so concerned about this agency, and what does a move like this mean for humanitarian programs around the world? Melissa Connolly-Tyler is with the Asia Institute at the University of Melbourne, who serves as Executive Director at the Asia Pacific Development Diplomacy and Defence Dialogue, and she joins us now. Good morning. Thank you very much for your time. Can I just ask you firstly, what is USAID and how pivotal is it to humanitarian programs around the world?
Well, look, each country tries to influence the world with a range of tools. You know, we have defence, we have diplomacy, and we have the development funding we provide to the majority of the world. USAID was established in the 60s by President Kennedy, and, you know, it was Cold War thinking. If you want to have influence in the world, you need to be working in the areas people care about. And for developing countries, that's help us with our development, help us with our health and our education, help us with our economy, help us get to where we want to be. So it had been seen as a key tool for US power in the world.
I'm trying to get my head around this because some tough words from the Trump administration, right? Marco Rubio, in his new role as Secretary of State, has accused the agency of insubordination. What's the issue here? Why is the Trump administration taking such an issue with this agency?
Well, that's got to be domestic politics. It's got to be seen as, a woke target. I don't understand, because from my perspective, USAID is absolutely in US national interests. Think of, for example, a country like Jordan, which is a very important partner for the US in the Middle East. Jordan's whole education system is underwritten by USAID funding. You know, the schools, the teachers, the equipment, everything. Now, if you turn that off, why would you expect Jordan to listen to you on any other issue that you want it to help you on? See, to me, it's an astonishingly self-defeating move.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the diplomatic repercussions of this in a moment. But when you just said there, turn it off, is there a situation here where it doesn't need to be turned off? Could other countries, I'm thinking China, for example, could it fill that gap?
Well, someone is going to have to fill the gap, because these services were absolutely vital for communities. I mean, I've been hearing about hospital patients being taken out of hospital, of people who are on life-saving medications, having them shut off. Somebody is going to have to fill that gap. And yes, if you're thinking about, say, in the Pacific, we know that already China has stepped in to cover lost USAID funding for an organisation that otherwise would have gone under. So when you leave a vacuum like that, others will step in, yes.
Back to what you were saying before, is there a chance this could backfire on the United States, though? Because, I mean, if you withdraw that funding, you withdraw that support, then theoretically, right, the US would lose its standing and its support on the global stage.
I don't think it's theoretical. I think this is a big moment in international affairs. If you're a country that had relied on USAID, you would now say, I'm not going to trust them again. I think this is something you can do once. And I think it's a message for, say, a country like Australia, two things. One, we should never, ever do this, because we care about our relationships in our region. And we should never play domestic politics with something as important as one of the ways that we connect with the developing countries that surround us. I think the second thing is there's a real opportunity for Australia to step up, to work with others, with European donors, with Japan, with South Korea, with India, with Indonesia, with a lot of countries that altogether are going to have to make up this gap. if we want, if we want health systems to keep functioning, for example.
Just briefly, though, before I let you go, I mean, it's fair to point out here, this is for 90 days at this point to undertake a review of the spending. I mean, isn't that fair enough that a new government would pause a program like this to review the dollars that are being spent?
No, I think the impacts are extraordinary. You could easily have said we will have a 90-day period to review, and at the end of that 90 days, we will cease any programs that we think are not aligned with US policy. That would have been fine. Everything else could have continued. I think that the problem is that unlike many of Trump's decisions, like on tariffs, for example, this isn't easily reversible. If you have food that is sitting in a warehouse and has moulded because nobody can distribute it, you can't quickly reverse that. If organisations go out of business, you can't quickly reverse that. And I think, for all of us, if your organisation hadn't been paid for 90 days already, because that's how USAID works, and then you're told you can't be paid for another 90 days, how in the world can you keep going? How can you keep staff on? Essentially, I'm already hearing about some of the for-profits going into bankruptcy, and the charities that Australians give to each year, they are at great threat and they can't speak out because of fear of retribution.